In the last exciting episode on Photics TV, a video about Crossy Road helped to push this channel over 1 million views. But this channel is not just about Crossy Road and cat videos. It's mostly that, but it's also about heroic tech support. This video shows the basics of using numbers. That's Apple's spreadsheet app. So let's start with something easy. Topic number 1 is adding and averaging. This is a basic reason to use a spreadsheet. If you have a bunch of numbers and you want to add them quickly, it's a matter of just selecting the numbers and then using the insert feature on the preceding cell. Each little box is called a cell. That sounds kinda sad, doesn't it? A prison for data. Or a small room in which a monk or nun lives. The first definition sounds nice. Any small compartment, like a honeycomb. But, unlike the 6 sides of a beehive cell, spreadsheets are typically comprised of horizontal and vertical boxes. A row is a group of horizontal cells, a column is a group of vertical cells. So, using the data from the Crossy Road video, what is the total coins collected by the baby bunny? Just highlight those 5 cells, and then press the Insert button. That shows a drop-down menu with common functions. You can insert the sum, which is all of the numbers added together. Or you could insert the average. To recreate what was done in the video, we're going with the average. There, 12.4. Just like the video. If that sounds too simple to you, just try doing that on an iPhone or an iPad. It's slightly different. You can select cells by dragging your finger across them. If you mess up, you can adjust the cells selected. Next, from the pop-up menu, tap the right arrow and select Cell Actions. Then, from that new pop-up, scroll to the Quick Formulas section. That is where you can select Average. If you're used to desktops, creating spreadsheets with mobile devices requires some adjusting. But basically the same task could be accomplished on the go. Have you ever needed to edit or create a spreadsheet from your phone? You can let everyone know in the comments. Topic number 2 is Autofill. Now that we have the average for one row, what about the other 15 Crossy Road characters listed here? That's where the Autofill feature can help. Instead of manually selecting so many rows, a formula can be automatically propagated and updated for subsequent rows. If that sounds technical, don't worry, it's easier to do than explain. Just click the cell with the formula. Once it's highlighted, hover the mouse over the box. Do you see the little yellow dot in the middle? That dot can be dragged. Just expand it along the column in order to calculate averages for the rest of the data. Boom! See how easy? That's another prime reason to use spreadsheets. But let's take a closer look. If you take a look at the cell with the average for the Crossy Toad, you can see it's also 12.4. Is this working correctly? Well, if you double-click the cell, you can see that the range is from B6 to F6. Columns use letters, while rows use numbers. So even though the result was the same value, different numbers were calculated. That's a nice feature of the app, as it highlights the cells used in the formula. Do you see the blue coloring? But does this work on mobile? It does, but the procedure is slightly different. First, highlight the main cell. Then, at the bottom right, there's a button with a lightning bolt icon. This button also has the word Cell. Press that button to bring up additional options. Right at the top is the Autofill Cell button. Just press that button to activate the yellow border. Just drag aside to autofill cells. Look at how quickly we calculated so many values. Very nice. Although autofill isn't limited to just numbers and formulas, it can work with text and dates. The names of months is a perfect example of this. By just typing January, the other 11 months can be entered automatically. That's also very nice. Topic number 3 is formulas. You don't have to just rely on buttons. Formulas and functions can be typed into a cell. By simply selecting a cell, then pressing the equal sign, a teeny tiny pop-up appears. Perhaps that's why data analysts make the big bucks. Or perhaps Apple should make that bigger. It doesn't even scale with the document zoom. If there is a way to increase the size of the function editor, I'm not seeing a way to do it. Anyway, you can type your own formulas. Once again, using the Crossy Road video data as an example, the spreadsheet doesn't specify the number of forward hops per run. That's 150, or 750 in total. So, to calculate the average coins per row, it's the sum of all runs. In other words, the total number of coins collected, divided by 750. By typing the word sum, that function automatically appears in the field. From there, you can simply select the rows to add. Notice how the coloring matches. Then, after the function, type a slash. The division sign is automatically added instead. Then just put the number 750. Press the check mark when you're done. The result is a decimal with a lot of digits. From here, there are options to fix that problem. Let's stick with editing formulas. There are many different functions that can be used. You can see a list in the functions pane on the right. By selecting all and scrolling through the list, the word round appears. We can round the value to a specific number of digits. To match the video, let's go with 3. This part is like high school math. Whatever is in the parentheses is calculated first. So, to avoid confusion, I like to use the Show Formula as Text option. The word round is typed at the start, with an opening parenthesis. At the end, a comma is added, the number 3, and a closing parenthesis. Done! The number was rounded to 0.083. Using the Autofill feature, the other coins per row numbers can be added. This also works on iPhone and iPad. Although I didn't see the option to show formula as text. That's why the next topic might be interesting to you. Topic number 4 is text formatting. You don't have to use formulas to round numbers. You can simply highlight the column, select the cell pane, and then change the number of decimals. This also works on iPhone or iPad. First, select the column, and then tap the paintbrush icon. From there, select the Format tab. And then the number option can be chosen. Press the letter I icon to specify the number of decimals. Once again, it's a slightly different process on mobile, but it's still quite possible to do. So, what's your preference to specify the number of decimals? Mobile or desktop? Formulas or formatting? That's another possible topic for the comments section. Topic number 5 is conditional formatting. This is an opportunity to combine these skills. But first, let's say you wanted to know the best character. That's easy. You could sort the rows by the average coins collected. Just use the Sort Descending option, and the cheerleader moves to the top of the list. There's the answer. But what if you wanted to quickly see the best and worst runs too? That's not so easy to do, as sorting columns doesn't make sense. I'm not even sure if it's possible. Not only does a row not have a Sort Descending option, there are calculations in the row. Also, the column names specify the order of the runs. So, what can be done to fix this problem? That's where conditional formatting is useful. The decoration of a cell can be changed based on a value. The first step is to get those values. In a new column, the best runs can be recorded. This is the formulas and functions technique in action. By using the large function, the biggest number can be listed. Large is being used instead of max because large has an extra parameter for ranking. So, large 1 returns a value of 16 for the baby bunny. Let's expand that out. L1, L2, L3, L4, and L5. This is where autofill can get you into trouble. While it properly filled the column header names, it returned the wrong values for the data rows. That's because the formula was incorrectly advanced. So unfortunately, these cells have to be manually adjusted. Now, with the correct values in this row, here's where it gets interesting. By highlighting the cells related to a specific run, conditional highlighting can be applied. That button is located in the cell pane. Once pressed, the Add a Rule button appears. So here's the rule. If the number is equal to the value in the J column, then apply a custom style. In this case, I think the background should be green. It's the largest number, so it's a good thing. But the reverse could also be highlighted. If the number is equal to the value in the N column, which is the smallest number, then change the cell background to red. You don't have to use the fifth largest number as the formula. You could have a column with the smallest number by using either the min or small functions. So you have options. The general idea is that each column can be given the same highlighting. With this new formatting, perhaps you can gain new insight. I was surprised to see that the fifth run was usually poor. Only once did the fifth run yield a top score. Is that merely chance, or is there something else going on here? So I added up all the values. That's easily accomplished with the lesson from the first topic. Just insert the sum. Well, look at that. The fifth run is significantly lower. The average is around 190. Why is the fifth run roughly 25 points lower? The answer to that is beyond the scope of this video. Yet, do you see the significance of the lessons learned here? With some basic spreadsheet techniques, you might be able to gain important information that other people miss.